Hey there, island dreamers, locals, and anyone craving a slice of paradise. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time, to the Fun and Key West podcast, where the vibe is always laid back, the stories are salty, and the drinks, well, they're definitely frozen. I'm your host, Michelle O'Connor, your unofficial tour guide to the Conch Republic. Whether you're planning your first trip, your fifth trip, or you're just daydreaming about trading the cubicle for the ocean breeze, you are in the right place. Here's the deal. This podcast is your insider's guide to all things Key West. We're talking where to eat, hello, conch fritters and key lime pie, where to drink, spoiler alert, there will be rum, where to stay, and all the quirky, wonderful things that make Key West the one-of-a-kind paradise we all love. Plus, we'll keep you up to date on the latest happenings, festivals, events, maybe even the occasional Hemingway lookalike sighting. And just to keep things spicy, we'll be bringing on some amazing guests now and then, locals, business owners, and people who know the island like the back of their sandy hand. So grab your flip-flops, pour yourself a cold one, and let's escape to the island state of mind together, whether you're tuning in from your hammock or your commute, while wishing it was a hammock. We've got all the Key West goodness coming your way. Thanks for being here. It's going to be a lot of fun in Key West. Let's dive in. Are you ready to dream big, set those goals, and make this the best year yet? Well, today I've got an incredible guest who is here to help you do just that. Donzel Leggett is a Key West native, a global leader, and the author of Make Your Destiny Happen. He's here to share his inspiring journey, practical advice, and a whole lot of wisdom to help you take charge of your life. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive into this empowering conversation.
Welcome to Fun in Key West, where every day feels like a mini fest. Grab a drink, take it slow. We'll show you where the locals go. Food, fun, and stories to tell. Hidden gems you know so well. Your Key West experts here to say it's fun in Key West every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of our Fun in Key West podcast. And I am so excited today. We love to have guests on who have either lived in Key West or have a Key West connection. And that is what started our book club, was we wanted to highlight all of these Key West connections. And today we are very excited because we have somebody from Key West, so there's our Key West connection, and he has written an amazing book that I think will help all of you on your next journey as to where your life is going to go. And it's the end of the year. Everybody's starting to think about what they're going to be doing for 2026 and those goals they're going to set and the life that they're going to have. So I think today's guest is going to be absolutely the best person to set us up for success. I'm going to let Donzel Leggett introduce himself, and then we're going to roll right into what he has got going for us and all the amazing things that are going to happen for us in 2026.
Well, hello, Michelle, and hello, Fun in Key West audience. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on this platform. I've been checking out the it's really awesome. I love the intro music. Had me dancing here in the cold in New York City. It's just fantastic to be here. And as Michelle mentioned, I'm originally from US, born and raised there, 1800s. So when you talk about Key West conchs, I am a real conch. My family immigrated, most of them from the Bahamas in the mid 1800s. We still have family in the Bahamas, and I have a lot of family in Key West and across Florida. I'm back in Key West fairly often. My mom is still there. I have a sister that lives there, an aunt that lives there, and as I mentioned, many, many cousins and friends. Still, a lot of the folks I went to high school with are there. Several of them are in positions where they're kind of running the island or in leadership roles and things like that. So lots of ties in Key West. I left Key West out of high school to attend Purdue University. That took me to the Midwest, and I played college football there in the late 80s. Graduated in 1990 with a bachelor's, and 92 with a master's degree, and then spent the next 32 years in industry and able to achieve some good things. I ended up being a vice president most of my career, spent a large portion of that time leading very large organizations outside of the United States. So I traveled a lot, really expanded my perspective, and really had a chance to lead and help people across many different geographies, cultures, languages. And a lot of that had to do with how I was raised and brought up and the values that were instilled in me growing up in Key West. Because as many of you know, Key West is one of the most unique places in the world. You're going to see people of many different shades, many different lifestyles, many different perspectives. And if that doesn't and what true value of diversity is all about, you'll never really see it. That really provides that understanding. Don't ever judge someone by how they sound, how they look, or any of those things. Get to know them as a person. Everyone brings value. So thank you, Key West, for helping instill that in me.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. And what kind of, so you alluded to the values that you got growing up in Key West. And you absolutely answered my next question was, why does Key West feel like home? Well, it feels like home because you're from there and you still have family there. Is there something that
Yes.
when you're out talking to people and they say, where are you from? And you say Key West, is there something that they go, oh, I would never have guessed that? Or, oh, do they start telling you the stories about how much they want to go there or why they love it?
You know what's funny is back before the internet, which is when I grew up, back before the internet existed, smartphones existed, you know, when you grow up in Key West, you're on an island. And that doesn't sound a huge deal for people today because they're so connected. But back in the 70s and 80s, I mean, you pretty much were isolated for the most part. Didn't really spend a lot of time with many people who lived outside, except those who came to visit, and you didn't get a lot of time to talk in depth to them. And of course, they were in Key West. So when you left and you went somewhere else in the country, like when I went to Purdue, I really did not appreciate how famous Key West was. I just thought it was a little island that came to. I had no perspective. So mentioned I was from Key West and I started getting those reactions you're describing, like, whoa, people really live there? There's people that are from there, What was it like growing up there? Oh, man, does Jimmy Buffett walk sing songs? I mean, those were the things that I would get from people all the time. And so that really opened my mind to wow, this where I grew up was pretty famous, but most people really don't know what it's about. So then I would start telling people the things that I didn't think were that special, but that were pretty special. And I would tell them, hey, yeah, it's a great place to grow up because your family's all around. Like I never had to go to a babysitter outside of my family ever in my life. My great grandmother basically was my daycare. I'd talk about I had cousins that babysat me. I never ever had to go to anyone my mom had to pay to babysit me or anything along those lines. So when you grow up around family, that's unique, those family ties. But one of the other things I used to always remember telling people is just how open-minded people were in Key West. And the example that I would give them is I think it was back before Key West elected the first openly gay mayor in the United States. It was a guy named Richard Hyman. That may not sound like a big deal now, but we're the southernmost point of the United States. You would think a very conservative part of the country, the further south you go, but Key West has always been different. So I would tell people that's an example. And if you look across our history, I tell them a lot of them didn't really understand what the Conch Republic was all about. And they were like, oh, that was a crazy stunt. Yeah, it was kind of a stunt, but it was economically, we're being cut off from the mainland that killed our industry. And people literally, their businesses were closing. So why was that stunt done? It was to bring attention to the fact this wasn't fair. So yes, we seceded from the Union at that time and had a big party. And what ended up happening, 3 days later, the blockade was taken down. A couple of examples to help people understand. Very unique place, very open-minded place. We do things differently. And yes, it's a slow pace. And yes, there's a lot of things that are different. But if you ever want to go somewhere where really you're surrounded by people who are very open-minded, and there's a saying, I don't know if they still say it down there, that we're one human family. I remember the guy bumper stickers out down there. It truly is, at least feels that way to me. And that's one of the reasons why I value being home and why I like talking about the fact that I'm from Key West and always celebrate my conch heritage.
That's awesome. So if you guys are watching us live, be sure to say hey. We'll do a shout out. We'll tell me where you're watching from. Hopefully it's warmer than up north. But because you're in Manhattan, so in case anybody's trying to figure this out, he's actually in Manhattan at a hotel room because he's getting ready to you're out on a book tour. And so the book is
Yes.
called Make Your Destiny Happen. It's a big idea. There it is. That's right. And we're talking about the book today. There's a lot of people out there who are wrapping up 25 and they're sitting there thinking, I didn't get done what I wanted to do, or I will never be able to be that person that's being interviewed on a podcast or I see on TV. They have a lot of self-doubt. They have questions about their abilities, and they're not 100% sure that they have what it takes. So I'm assuming this is who you wrote the book for.
Absolutely. I've been planning to write this book in one way, shape, or form for 35 years, somewhere in that realm. When I was in my early 20s, I decided to lay out a life plan because at the time was my girlfriend was expecting. I knew I was going to have to make decisions around what I was going to do differently in terms of my life trajectory, a family, a job. But I had the perspective that it wasn't a smart idea for me to just kind of look at things day to day or 1 year, that I needed to think long term. And so I challenged myself how. So I remember literally sitting down and had a piece of paper and I drew a line and I put today, and I think it was in my early 20s. And then at the end of that line, I put 65. And why did I pick 65? I just felt like it was about 40 years or so. And usually 65 is when people at the time, general retirement, that kind of thing. So I felt like my career would be kind of closing at that time. And I said, now I'm gonna fast forward and look in a crystal ball, put myself there, and I'm gonna look back at what I've wanted to accomplish. Where would I want my family to be at that time? Where would I want to be financially? How would I want to be looked at by my peers and by others? What's my legacy? I started asking myself those questions and I started writing things down. And it painted a picture of what I wanted to be at that time. And then I started making some tweaks to say, does that feel good? I started asking myself, does that feel like where I want to be and what I want to be doing? And then I said, after I agreed, then I worked my way back, 5 years back, 60, 55, 50. Where would I be in those timelines all the way back to where I was at that time? And that was then the first process to build my life plan. I started then in 5 year buckets, identifying milestones I wanted to hit. And I remember thinking to myself, things are going to change though. You know, technology advances, relationships change. I had to think about what my wife wanted to do my girlfriend wanted to do at the time. I remember reviewing it with her. Hey, what do you think? What do you want to go? What do you? And then I made some tweaks and I said, I've got to make sure that this is pliable and adjustable because the world changes and I'm going to happen. And so as time went on, I started implementing this plan and I started having more and more roles in leadership. I started using some of the models I built in both my personal life and in leading in these organizations. And the organizations got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I started seeing success, not only in terms of the results we were getting, but how I was impacting people, how I was actually helping people transform their lives and achieve happiness or success where that was not there before. And that then tweak gave me the idea I needed to take these notes as I'm going. And when I get to this point in my life, write this book. Now, initially, my plan to write the book was really for people in their careers to help them get to the next level, wherever that level wanted to be. Whether you're a manager, you want to be a senior manager, or you're a senior manager, you want to be a director, or a director, want to be a VP or an officer. But over the last 5 years, I started seeing that everyone was really being affected negatively about this tone of the world, basically. Whether it's the advent of technology, I mentioned smartphones and the internet. Today we have every bit of information, every piece of knowledge that's ever been in the world is available to you right now on your phone in a nanosecond. Think about that. Every all knowledge ever is available to you. But at the same time, you can reach out to anyone you want, anyone can reach out to you. The downside is some of those messages are not positive. Many of them are negative. Many of them are degrading. Many of them just make you feel small. And the more you're on there, the smaller sometimes it can make you feel. So I saw that happening. I saw that there was a lot of political division and people being pit against each other. I saw that there was a lot of issues with the economy and people not even being able to afford, not just whether you want to go to Key West, but just a home in Indianapolis, Indiana. I mean, these are places that they used to be affordable. And so that started seeing this depression or this feeling of no matter what I do, it's never going to work out for me. The world's against me. I'm just a small thing. There's all these billionaires. I'm nobody. That's how I started seeing. So I changed where I was going to write the book for. And I decided instead of writing it for anyone or someone who's specific in their career, I wanted to write this book for everyone. Whether you're a teacher, whether you are a carpenter, whether you're a cashier, you're a stay-at-home parent, a student, or a CEO, or an entrepreneur, because everyone is the CEO of their life. Everyone's the leader of their life. And if you don't step up and start transforming your own leadership to take charge of your life and establish a vision of where you want to be and develop a plan to get there, this feeling of depression will weigh you down. And I feel like the model that I developed, I was able to, again, not only apply it in my own life, but apply it with people all over the world. And I saw transformative change happen with them. And I can tell you that I actually am today doing what I planned to do 40 years ago.
That's awesome.
That is absolutely true. Now, have it changes? Yes. Have I had failures? Yes. Have I had losses? Yes. Have I quit at times? Yes. But I got back up, got back to work, and kept moving forward. And that's the point I want to bring home for people to inspire them, anyone, that you can do whatever you want. You step up and become the leader of your life. You can make your destiny happen. I don't know if I went too far, but I got on a roll and I thought, Michelle, put it all out.
No, I appreciate that. No, you also talk about how people feel like, and you alluded to this, life is happening to me and I don't have control of it. And I need to, like you said, be actively shaping what my future looks like. How does it look like when you see that in real life? And like, how do we recognize we're allowing life to take control of us versus us taking control? How do we recognize that?
Yes, I talk about that. Stop having life happen to you and make life happen for you. Make life happen for you. I think a lot of us are victims of the circumstances that happen around us. And again, some of it is due to what the information that comes at us on a daily basis. It's hard to hear the news. It's hard, again, if you're on your phone all the time and you're scrolling, to see them come at you and not be impacted by them. And so what I try to help people understand is, yes, there's going to be circumstances, there's going to be storms, there's going to be hurricanes, proverbially and literally. There's going to be, right? The question is, do you really think you can control those things? You can't. You can't control those things, but you can control something. What's that? You can control what you do. You can control your reaction. You can control your proaction. You can control your development. You can control your preparedness. You can control your authenticity. What I'm talking about in the book is take control of your life by working on what you can control. And that's you. That's where the focus needs to be. One simple example that I try to help people understand, and I can go into a lot of deep things like becoming authentic, building confidence. But I'll just give you a simple thing around self-development, which I think is so important. The average American spends 2.5 hours a day on social media, just scrolling. Now, that's the average. There's some reports that some teenagers or younger people, it's more like 6 hours. Some people who are more in maybe my age group, some of them are in the 6 to 8 hour range. They may be on different platforms. If they're more my age, they're probably on Facebook. If they're younger, they're probably on TikTok. something along those lines. But it's 6 to 8 hours for some people. 2.5, let's just use the average, 2.5 hours. Now, the average American only spends about 15 minutes a day reading for pleasure or to, kind of learn something. Now, I'll be generous and I'll say I'm gonna say 30 minutes. Average American would spend, and I'm gonna include not only things like reading for pleasure, but maybe learning a new language, maybe working on their life plan, working out to stay physically fit, doing something to improve their well-being. 30 minutes a day. So if you take that 2.5 hours over the course of a lifetime, you're talking about 10 years on the average lifetime, someone spending on social media versus about a year or less on self-development. What if you reverse those two things? What if you spent hours a day developing yourself and minimize your social media to 30 minutes? Not only are you going to see less messages bombarding you and making you feel small, but you're going to create competitive advantage for yourself because everyone else is wasting their time. And time is the most valuable asset any of us have. I, I have a gold ring here. It's a special cut and everything that I got for when I got married. It's very sentimental. But if I lose it, I can buy more gold. There's a limit to the amount of gold, but there's still gold around that can be bought and it can be mined. I can find a jeweler to replicate this. The last 15 minutes we've been on this call, Michelle, I will never get back. You will never get back. The people who are listening will never get back. Now, I hope it's value added to them, but I don't care who you are. Elon Musk can't buy those 15 minutes back. They're gone. Time is your most precious resource. Question that people should ask themselves in terms of, am I letting life happen to me or am I making it happen for me? What are you doing with your time? Because every second you let go, that you're not developing yourself, that you're not building your toolbox and your confidence. So when the storms come, you're better prepared. When AI starts taking over, and a lot of people you've been working on yourself and you're prepared. I can go on and on with examples. Every second of every day, people should be thinking about what am I doing to create competitive advantage for myself. If you do that one thing, you start preparing yourself to make life happen for you instead of letting life happen to you. And that's just one example.
No, that's perfect. Is that what makes your destiny development Delta model different than anything else that's out there in the self-help? So if we're walking down the self-help aisle, it
Yes,
sounds like yours is different and that's the differentiator.
I feel like it is. I've been through in the roles that I've been in. I've had to lead organizations of up to 10,000 people across more than 40 countries. I've had big jobs, and I've been exposed to many different leadership models, self-help type things. How do you help people get better? All these things. What I'd say is different about mine than all of those is first, my model helps you transform your own personal leadership to take charge of your life, to have the decisiveness to not fall into the 90% of the people whose New Year's resolutions fail in the first 2 weeks of the year by February 15th. All of those. You've got to transform yourself to have the perseverance to continue to move forward. So that's what the first thing is. The model helps you transform your leadership. But once you transform your leadership, then what do? That's where a lot of things fall down. Well, I have the second, how do you operationalize that? And so what I have is a step-by-step approach that helps you build your life plan, helps you generate support for your life plan, and then helps you activate it on an ongoing basis. And the last piece is continually develop yourself. So it's transforming your leadership, and then how do I bring that to life to actually make my destiny happen? That's what's different about my model.
That's awesome. So shifting a little bit, so a lot of our community is made up of people who daydream about escaping the 9 to 5, escaping burnout, escaping to what everyone else told them success should look like. And what do you say to these people? Because they're getting ready to probably start their 26
Yes.
resolutions. What do you say to someone who knows that they want more, but they aren't sure what more even looks like or what it is?
That's a great question. One of the most common things that I've seen across all the cultures I've worked with and the age groups I've talked to whether it's teenagers all the way up to folks who are nearing retirement or in retirement. If I ask them, and I have asked over 10,000 people this, I've had over 50,000 hours of one-to-one meetings with 10,000 people across the world. And I've asked them this question: where do you want to be in 10 years? What percent do you think we're able to answer the question?
I'm going to say 10.
10%. 90% could not. So that's the first issue, is most people don't take the time to really think about where they want to be, what they want to do, and what truly makes them happy. What is my purpose? And the worst thing you can do is look at Michelle O'Connor, no matter how great she is, and she's great, and say, I just want to be Michelle. Or Michelle said this, I'll do. Or this guy Donzel came on, I'll just do maybe what he says, his level of happiness or what he wants to do, I should do that. No, your definition of happiness, success should be yours. Shouldn't be anyone else's. And I talk about in my book how there were pressures in times where I felt like people wanted me to do certain things, wanted me to go somewhere or do something. I had to come to the realization of what I want to do. So the first thing I'll tell everyone is take time to really think about what you want to do. Who are you? Be authentic with yourself. Look at yourself, not just the great things about you. Some people can't even see those. Consider them. What are the things that aren't so great? What are your warts? Get to know them and get to love them. Because no one knows you like you do. And if you're trying to pretend and fake your way, you'll never make your way. Know who you are, then know what you want and what success means to you. Not everyone feels like money is the success factor for them. You need money to survive and to have some level of stability. But that doesn't mean you're happy. And I think one of the biggest things that we see that misleads us is our media, social media promotes people who have so quote unquote success. Just because someone has money doesn't mean they're happy. I mean, Jeff Bezos hasn't talked to his biological father in like 30 years. You can't tell me that guy's happy. I mean, Elon Musk has what, 10 kids, 8 women? Do you think that that's happy? Whether if he is or not, I don't care. What I care about is, am I happy with what I'm doing? Am I satisfying my purpose? And that's what people have to do. And until they do that, it's going to be very difficult to have a plan and sustain it. So that's what the message I would say. If you're a dreamer, that's great. What are your dreams? And are they authentic? And what are you willing to sacrifice to achieve those dreams? That's what the book talks about. A lot of time talking about getting to know yourself authentically and then building confidence and assuredness in that authentic self. Once you do that, then you can start moving forward with where do I want to be? What's my purpose? And I've got some activities in the book that actually help establish that.
Yeah, your book talks about navigating those peaks and valleys because life is going to happen, and there's times that we're going to have to deal with that because life isn't always a straight line. You've had moments where your own plans didn't go as expected, and what helped you refocus instead of getting stuck? So maybe somebody else can say that might work for me, or what? How can you, recognize I'm stuck, and this is what I need to do?
Yeah. Recognizing that you're stuck can be hard for some people, especially if, again, they spend a lot of time thinking about themselves and assessing themselves. A lot of times in our jobs, we're asked to assess, what we're doing or where the company is or how to make the job better, those kinds of things. I was in a session 2 weeks ago where I asked the audience, how many of you have helped establish or work on your company's vision? And about half of them raised their hand. And I said, how many of you have worked on the strategic plan? And half of them raised their hand. And I said, how many of you have been asked to come up with, here's some things that we can improve in our job? And they'll raise their hand. How many of you, and I said, how many of you have had other people in the company help you or work with you? Oh yeah, we all do it together. So then I said, okay, now how many of you have spent any significant time thinking about your own vision of yourself and what's your purpose? No one raise their hand. How many of you have worked on your plan for yourself? No one raise their hand. How many of you have worked on, here are the things that I can do better going forward to be successful? And how many people did it for you? Nobody. So do you think if you did that, you'd have competitive advantage? Do you think if you did that, you'd feel better about your life? Now think if you had a plan on top of that, would you feel better about the progress you're making? So the first thing, again, I go back is spend time with yourself, be authentic with yourself, and ask yourself those questions. What am I trying to do? And am I making progress? And if you're not, what are you going to do about it? Because there's nobody else going to do it for you. You have to make that call. And so when I've had those issues, and I talk about in the book, when I've quit and I've failed, and I've lost, and I've made mistakes, and I have to face what's the alternative? Stay here and cry and slump my shoulders and feel sorry for myself. And while I'm doing that, the world keeps going. Or do I say, you know what? I lost. It didn't work out. What did I learn from it? How can I develop myself from this? How do I use this as a win? Because I've lost, but I'm a winner. I've failed, but I'm successful. I've quit, but I persevere. Words matter. Things happen to you. They don't define you as long as you take action and do something about it.
Yep. No. And what's amazing to me is there are opportunities out there for people to improve themselves through work, but how many times you just absolutely, said what I was thinking about. How many times have I sat in conferences for work and they talked about your goals for the corporation, and not the corporation never said or asked, what are you doing to improve yourself? Because when we show up as our better selves, we're better for ourselves, but we're also better for everybody around us, I think. And I think that's clearly what we're going to take away from the book. What is the number one reason why people fail?
Well,
there's a lot, but the number one.
Yeah, I'd say there's two, the two that I would put at the top. The first is that and I've said it before, they really haven't taken the time to understand what they really want and what they're really to sacrifice for it. So they end up on a path that they didn't really truly want. And by the time they get close, or they 20 years or 10 years, they then realize this isn't where I want to be. But now they're locked in. They're kind of, and they don't feel like they can sacrifice making a move. So that's the first reason, is they don't take the time to truly assess, who am I? What do I value? What's my definition of success? And what am I willing to sacrifice? And the second is the one that we see most often that when we look at people, they can't sustain what I call activation. In other words, taking the action to literally do what they have to do. And that's, again, evidenced in people. This whole thing with New Year's resolutions is, it's another opportunity to do something, but these are the facts. 90% of New Year's resolutions fail in the first 2 weeks, not 2 months, the first 2 weeks. So it's the perseverance. Ironically, this reason, the core, the root cause of why people cannot sustain, goes back to the first thing I said. They didn't take the time to truly understand what they want and what they're willing to sacrifice. And if you're doing something just because someone said to do it, or you think that's what you want to do, but it's not authentically yours, it's not intrinsically something that you're passionate, that you're willing to sacrifice for, the first time an obstacle comes up, you're going to give up. The first time, you have an opportunity, it's raining outside, I think I'll stay in, you're going to stay in. But if it's something you're truly passionate about, if it's something that you believe from your core, if it's something that you've committed and signed your own contract with yourself to do it, just like you're going to show up for work because you don't want to get a negative mark, or you're going to do what they said because you don't want to get a bad review, you're going to look at yourself in a higher level and you're going to say, I'm holding myself accountable. to make that happen. So ultimately, it comes back to what do you really want authentically? And what are you willing to sacrifice to make it happen?
Yeah. Yeah. Those are hard, tough questions. And I think every day you have to ask yourself those questions and keep yourself on track
Yes.
and be accountable to yourself. And I think that's as I start to go through the book, you're going to give those tools and be able to help people become accountable to themselves. So, speaking of the book, and you're on a book tour, you are coming back to Key West for a book signing at Books and Books on December the 11th, 2025. Doors open at 6:30. What does it mean for you to share this book in your hometown?
It's hard to put into words. I'm so moved to be able to come back home. And whether there's one person there or 100 people there, I'm going to be just so proud to be in Books and Books, Judy Bloom's bookstore that she started there in her, knowing that she started the store. But being right there, my dad used to work for Southern Bell. The Southern Bell building was like the old building was a block. My great grandmother, was raised in Mickens Lane, which was not too far from the Green Parrot. That's not that far from there. I grew up in Enos, just Duval, between Duval and where Ernest Hemingway's house is and the lighthouse. I mean, I grew up right there. That's not too far. So, I mean, my grandmother used to walk me to Fausto's I mean, all this stuff is like right there. So to be in Books and Books, to be, talk about the book that I wrote. I start off the book and after the introduction, I start the book talking about growing up in Key West and why that was so meaningful to me. And I mentioned at the beginning of the show how that shaped a lot of who I am today. To be able to share this book with everyone, it's a very prideful moment for me, and I just can't wait to be there and talk to as many people as possible, and most importantly, try to instill hope in anyone that attends. Again, it doesn't matter where you are right now. It doesn't matter, what you've done up to this point. What matters is where you want to go and what are you going to do to get there. And you can achieve it. You can make your destiny happen. You can be the leader of your life. And I want to inspire people to believe that and to take action, knowing, like you said, it's the end of other opportunity. Don't let this opportunity go by. Don't let these seconds go by. It's easy to do when you live in Key West. It's an easy place to live. It's easy to get around. Everybody knows you, and you can become complacent. But times change. I remember what the island was in 1986 when I graduated high school. It's not the same place today. And it's certainly not as affordable as it used to be. Know that. So, as you know, things change. What are you going to do to make sure that you create your own competitive advantage? Whether you want to continue to be in Key West, whether you want to move to Key West, whatever it is, how can you make the difference for yourself? That's what I'd hope people leave that event feeling that inspiration to take action.
That's awesome. And for those of you who cannot be in the event on December the 11th at Books and Books in Key West, I am going to put in the show notes links of how to connect with Donzel Leggett and how to get the book and learn more about everything that he's doing. You are a very busy person, so I appreciate all of your time that you've given us. But I always ask people and guests that come on our show a couple of questions. You're landing in Key West. This is a little bit
Yes.
different for you for the fact that you still have family.
Yeah.
But you land in Key West. What is your first place you go to and what's the meal you order?
Aside from going to my mom to
Aside
see
from
my
visiting
mom,
mom,
she
so you've
doesn't.
already seen mom,
Yeah,
you've
and
had
she doesn't.
mom's food.
So my favorite thing in Key, oh my gosh, that is a great question. It's probably between El Siboney on Stock Island, and I really love the whole yellowfish fried, but I also, thing like ropa vieja. So it's probably going to be one of those, or I might even go down to Kaya Eats. But actually, my number one now is Virgilio's. I just thought of this. Virgilio's Italian. I think is some of the best Italian food I've had anywhere, including Chicago. Virgilio's is awesome. Now it also helps my nephew. His name's Daniel Clark. He plays drums all over Key West. He's awesome He's up for an award, Best Supporting Artist. I think they've got a big Key West Music Awards thing coming up. But he introduced me to Virgilio's, and the place is awesome. So that's probably where I want to go first, as soon as I get back.
Outside of Mom's.
Outside of Mom's.
Outside of Mom's, yeah. So that's what I always tell people is Key West has such a diversity of food and culture and everything that you can come in, and no matter what you're craving, you will find it in Key West. So
Absolutely.
Donzel, I truly appreciate your time today. I know you are busy. You're on this book tour. I hope everybody checks out the links and checks you out and says, oh, this is something that I want to do. And I really appreciate your time. Any last words you have for our listeners?
First thing, I want to thank you, Michelle. You have really done your homework. I've done 25 or so podcast interviews. You by far were the most prepared. Your questions were the most thought provoking. Your energy is incredible. I am extremely impressed and very thankful for you to allow me to be on your program. It's really, really fantastic. I do want to ask if you could add me to your book club.
I will.
I know that most of I looked at the books you guys are reading. They seem to be more on the fiction side, but I hope you look like you've read the book a little bit. I tried to write the book to make it readable. So yes, it's nonfiction, and yeah, there's some models of leadership. But I thought I had my wife in mind. My wife does not like to read these kind of books, so I knew I had to put stories in there to keep her attention and others. So even when it starts talking about these models, you know, 5 minutes later, you're into a story. And hopefully the stories are entertaining enough to keep your attention. That's at least the feedback that I've gotten. And I just received the first award. It's a Silver Book Award from the Nonfiction Author. So I feel really, really, really proud. And I would feel even more proud if I was added to your book club list. And thank you to all your listeners. And again, Michelle, you're incredible. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Those are very kind words. And we're definitely going to share this and the book with our book club and our VIPs so that they have an opportunity to check that out. Thank you again for your time. We are going to now wish everybody a wonderful day, and thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys later. A huge thanks to Donzel Leggett for sharing his incredible insights and reminding us all that we have the power to make our destiny happen. Whether you're dreaming of big changes or just looking to take that next step, this is your year to shine. Don't forget to check out his book, Make Your Destiny Happen. And if you're in Key West, go by and check out Island Books and see if you can get an autographed copy. Until next time, keep dreaming big, keep taking action, and remember, there's no better place to start than right here, right now. See you soon.